Once, in a land blessed with abundant resources and happy people, there reigned a wise and just king. Under his rule, the kingdom flourished, with fields overflowing with crops, markets bustling with trade, and citizens living in harmony. The king was revered by his people, not just for his fairness but for his dedication to their well-being. Yet, like all stories, this one was not without its challenges. One year, the kingdom faced a calamity, a famine so severe that the once prosperous lands turned barren. Crops withered, rivers dried, and the people struggled to survive. The king worked tirelessly to alleviate their suffering. He opened the royal granaries, sent emissaries to neighboring kingdoms for aid, and even sold his treasures to buy food for his people. The famine lasted a full year, and though the kingdom survived, the king was left deeply shaken. Even after the famine ended and life began to return to normal, the king's heart remained heavy. The royal coffers had been drained to support his people, leaving the kingdom financially unstable. Neighboring rulers, sensing an opportunity, grew hostile, threatening the borders. Within the court, factions quarreled over policies and decisions, each demanding the king's attention. The once confident ruler now spent sleepless nights, his mind a storm of worries. One day, as he sat in the royal garden, his face etched with despair, a monk arrived at the palace gates. Clad in simple robes and carrying nothing but a wooden staff, the monk exuded an aura of calm and serenity. News of the monk's wisdom and compassion had reached the king, who decided to seek his counsel. The king invited the monk into his chamber and poured out his heart. "Holy One," he began, "I have ruled this land with dedication, yet I find no peace. The famine has passed, but its shadows linger in my mind. I am plagued by worries, about the kingdom's finances, the disputes within my court, and the threats from our enemies. I cannot find a moment's rest." The monk listened intently, his expression thoughtful. After a moment of silence, he said, "Your Majesty, if you wish for peace of mind, you must let go of your burdens. Leave the kingdom behind, even if only for a while." The king was startled. "Leave my kingdom? But my son is too young to rule, and the people rely on me." The monk smiled. "If that is your concern, I will take responsibility for the kingdom in your absence. Focus only on yourself for now." The king hesitated. The idea of stepping away from his duties seemed impossible, yet he was desperate for relief. Finally, he agreed. The monk was given authority over the kingdom, and the king began working under him as a common servant, following the monk's orders without question. At first, the king found it strange and humbling to obey someone else. He performed tasks he had never done before, tending to the palace gardens, cleaning the halls, and serving meals in the royal kitchen. But as days turned into weeks, he began to notice a change within himself. The weight on his heart seemed lighter, and his mind grew clearer. One day, as they walked through the palace grounds, the monk asked the king, "How do you feel now, Your Majesty?" The king paused, reflecting on his journey. "I feel peaceful. My work no longer feels like a burden. I am satisfied with what I do." The monk stopped and turned to face the king. His eyes filled with wisdom. "Do you see now? Earlier, you viewed the kingdom as something you owned, something you had to protect and control. That sense of ownership turned it into a burden, filling your heart with fear and worry. Now, you see it as a duty, a role you fulfill without attachment. When we let go of our need to own and control, peace naturally follows." The king stood still, the monk's words sinking deep into his soul. He realized the truth: his worries had stemmed not from his responsibilities but from his attachment to them. He had seen himself as the sole savior of the kingdom, carrying its weight alone. But now, he understood the power of detachment and the freedom it brought. With a newfound clarity, the king returned to his throne. He ruled with renewed vigor and wisdom, treating his responsibilities not as possessions but as opportunities to serve. His people noticed the change in their ruler, a serene and balanced king who led with a heart unburdened by fear. And so, the king learned a timeless lesson that applies to all of us: true peace comes not from running away from responsibilities, but from changing the way we see them. When we let go of ownership and approach life with a sense of duty and service, we free ourselves from unnecessary worry and find clarity, purpose, and inner peace. This story reminds us that the way we view our challenges shapes how we experience them. By shifting our perspective, we can turn burdens into opportunities for growth and fulfillment. If this story inspired you or gave you a fresh perspective, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more stories and insights to uplift your mind and soul. Let's continue this journey of learning and growth together.